America's Morning headquarters to get you through the mid-morning hours. I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
I'm Dr. Greg Postel, and you know what's left behind in this historic town of Lahaina? Rubble and ashes, and crews are still combing through it.
Yeah, in addition to the latest from Hawaii, we are also watching the East Coast for the potential of severe storms later today. There's a torcon from Chicago to New York with the greatest risk centered in several major cities. So we'll talk through this as well.
That's right. In today's big deal, we'll have your Great Lakes next week in a place where we really have not seen a whole lot of heat this summer.
Yeah.
Things are changing around, and that heat is going to expand.
No, it's a big pattern change.
Big pattern change.
Yeah, it'll affect storm risks as well, which
Indeed.
we will be talking about. Now, even without severe storms, we're going to see buckets and buckets of rain, and rain like change your batteries and your smoke detector, right? So you know, kind of get on that habit.
There would be nice if there's like a little blinker or a beeper or some kind of device that says you need to change them, more so than just like hoping that you'd be able to see through your windshield.
Maybe we should do it Christmas and July 4th.
There you go. That's obvious. Then you never forget.
There was a few years in a row my husband was getting me windshield wipers for Christmas. It was a great gift, actually. Great. Can you also put them on for me?
How romantic is
right.
that?
It was very useful, though. Yeah. All right. Well, you can go to X or previously Twitter and now Threads as well. I forgot to post it there. I'll get that there. Just send us your comments, and you can share your pics and video by using the hashtag YesTV. Welcome back in. The island of Maui coming together in the wake of tragedy. A temporary shelter has been set up at the War Memorial. You can stay with the Weather Channel for continuing coverage of the wildfires in Hawaii. Our Jim Cantori will be live on the island with more stories of survival, and that's coming up at 3 p.m. Eastern. Greg, I'm not saying that you've been, but it's certainly been a very tough to take summer here along the Gulf Coast. Now, it's been hot off and on in Charlotte. Today's one of those on times. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we're going to 95 degrees today. That's outside. Inside your vehicle, it gets dangerously hot very quickly. In just 10 minutes, 114 degrees. In 30 minutes, we're talking temperatures rising to 129 degrees. Beat the heat, check the back seat, make sure kids and pets are not stuck in cars here. This is going to be a dangerous heat that temperatures will very quickly rise today across a lot of the South. Now, let's go to Portland, Oregon. We're going to be even hotter. 106 degrees in the forecast. And so that's the outside air temperature. The inside, your car air temperature will be 125 in 10 minutes. In 30 minutes, 140 degrees. In just 10 minutes, it's unbelievably hot right here. So beat the heat. Check the back seat. We have a heat wave that's building in the Pacific Northwest. Want to talk more about that. It's not going to be the humidity that you have in the South that Greg was talking about, but we do have some pretty hot times for us here building on in. And we look at the heat warnings, the excessive heat warnings, as well as the heat advisories that are in place, all of Washington and Oregon and down into California as well here. We are watching for that heat. Now, this big ridge of high pressure is going to be building, and that's what's allowing the heat to continue to build. That's going to be our story for several days as we get into this heat wave. Temperatures today get to the 90s. We were oh so close the past couple of days in Seattle, but we get to 93 today. Portland down through Medford. That's really where we feel the core of it, where temperatures are up at 111 in Medford, Oregon. And it'll be record-breaking. Yakima, Washington going to 103. That would break the old record. Olympia, Washington, 97. That's a record breaker as well. Medford, that 111, yes, that would break a record. And we'll do the same thing, smashing records actually in places like Eugene and Salem, Oregon. All right, so tomorrow the heat continues. The potential records continue as well here. This is a multi-day heat wave with a pattern that again is going to be slow to change. Big ridge of high pressure staying on, and that means potential record heat for us right here. Yakima 108. Portland, we're going to 104, again breaking that record. Spokane, look at our numbers. We're going up here. Today will be 98 degrees. Average temperatures are in the 80s. We're going to the triple digits, and we'll see that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Friday back down into the 90s here, but still running above average even with that. Now, this is a pattern that we'll see through this week. By the time we get into next week, we're going to start to see things change, and the pattern will take a dip across the west, and that will allow our temperatures to even get below average, you know, at least the average. But in the east, then we start to build things back up with a big expansive ridge that builds over the entire eastern part of the country here, and that's going to send numbers above average all the way up into places that are sitting in the 40s and 50s this morning in the upper Midwest. Well, speaking of, get you through the mid-morning hours, I'm meteorologist Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Dr. Greg Postel. We've got plenty to talk about with Hawaii and the disaster, what's left behind in the historic town of Lahaina. Rubble and ashes, unfortunately, and crews are still combing through all of it.
Yes, and in addition to the latest from Hawaii, we are watching the East Coast. We've got the potential of severe storms later today. There's a torcon from Chicago to New York with the greatest risk centered in several major cities. So we're going to take you into this forecast and talk more about that as well.
And today's big deal, guess what?